Good morning, everybody. It's Crystal. I received a message from a twin flame that asked if I would create a video related to an issue. And uh, very generally speaking, the issue is uh, so you're a twin and you have met your twin, and then during this time, at some point, you have learned that this person is currently having intimate relationships with other people. Um, and this person wanted me to just share or some insight on how I would address a wound like that. And I want to do that definitely. And I did. I covered it a bit, but I think that sometimes when we hear about wounds, let me just say this: when you are in a particular vibration, and I think I've said this before, but let's just make sure. If you're in a vibration of a question, it is very, very difficult to be in a vibration of a solution. Now, that doesn't mean that you will not be able to receive what you're ready to receive. You understand? You may have like a really large question about something. However, there are parts of you that are ready to receive certain bits of information. And so you might come into contact with something I'm teaching, for example, and what you're ready to learn and let go of, you will learn and let go of. And oftentimes, when I'm doing the educational piece of this with all of my fine, fancy sketchings, uh, that education piece is just really essential because it shifts your mindset. That's your spiritual self awareness. Your conscious self awareness is your spirit, okay? And the spirit involves the mind, okay? Okay. One other thing, so it gave me this question for my soul guide. Because this person said that she was awakened by her feminine about a year ago, um, and now she is kind of going through s- some of the wounds. Okay, and I want to address that. However, I got to thinking for my own self, how does everybody know uh, if they're the divine feminine or divine masculine? Because we know, like, what we're told in terms of the divine feminine wakes up first on the spiritual journey, and then typically when they are ready for the journey, their energy, their vibration activates a synchronicity type meeting with the divine masculine, and then they come into contact with one another. That's all fine and good. Uh, uh, I just thought, Gaiam, is there anything else going on here that would be useful to us? And there may not be anything, but I'm going to pull some tiles. So part of my telepathy, um, I with my hands, I have healing hands. However, I can also I have a bag full of Scrabble tiles, and I can set that intention. And then if Gaiam wants to answer me through the tiles, then they will. And I'm going to find out if there's anything more, and I may pull a few tarot cards. Now, what I think I'm going to do a little something different with the tarot cards. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do that anyway, but I really want to just sort of see uh, if there's anything here that we could learn. So thank you. Hmm. So I wonder if I'll be able to show you this. What I got was heal, can heal. Um, so interesting. I'm going to ask a little bit more about that. Hmm. Hmm. It's encouraging. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. All right. I'm just going to sort of write this down and keep this part of it to myself, but it has to do with different types of wounds that we experience. And if I need to, I'll go there. Uh, it has to do with intimacy. And I don't have any issue with that. This is a public forum, and I need to think about that. And I might just save this for the person who asked the question. So, not trying to be secretive or anything, but I do want to keep this sort of PG, um, while also maturely addressing the issue of intimacy. Okay. Here's what I will say for any of you that have experienced wounds with intimacy that have to do with your boundaries being violated when you were younger, I want you to understand something uh, that can heal. Okay. Um, there are a variety of different coping strategies that people will uh, engage in when that kind of boundary is crossed. Okay, and different types of behaviors and things like that that happen. Okay, one of the one of the issues that happens. I'm going to go ahead and do this because I okay. I think I'm getting what I need to talk about right now. There's this label, and it's called promiscuity. Okay, this idea that somebody has had too many partners, or whatever the case may be. Now, uh, when you are young, if you have your sexuality violated by somebody you're supposed to trust, there are a couple things right off the bat that can happen to you spiritually. Okay, that I want you to think about. If this is you, it's okay. All right, but you can. Oftentimes, people will disassociate, and then there's a part of them spiritually that disconnects from them. You'll zone out sometimes. Your learning processes get affected. You'll just kind of zone out, um, disassociate. If something frightening is happening, you'll kind of freeze up, and you won't know. There's just a disconnect that happens there. And for any of you experiencing that, I want you to understand something. Please reach out to your soul guide. Okay, all of you, please do it anyway. Okay, I've been seeing profound things happen just in the last week, and having people asking people that I'm working with, we need to call in your soul guide right now. One gal, uh, I have biofield software so that people can see pictures of the pixels get um, translated or converted into frequency colors. And one gal uh, had a spirit that was talking to her all the time, giving her ideas about research, but she was having some issues with it. And I just said, well, we were just having a casual conversation about it. And I just said, well, okay. And I said, I respect the spirit. And she said, she's really happy that you're here with me. And I said, okay, great. And so I asked Gaiam to help me bring in her soul guide, because the soul guide is a mediary for you with the interdimensionality of things. Okay? So that soul guide, once you just say, I know you're here and I know you love me unconditionally, will you please mediate any interdimensional kind of things going on? And that doesn't always mean supernatural either. It can just mean we are multidimensional beings, okay? And so what you're doing with your consciousness and so forth, your soul guide can help heal you. She said, take a picture, because her soul guide came in and she said she felt this very wise presence come in. And the other presence felt like a sister, and this one felt like a wise grandmother. And she said the grandmother or the soul guide just said, I need you to we're going to talk to you about what you need to do, and we're going to have boundaries. And that spirit was so happy. Okay. So that's just, and the picture was this blue, beautiful, wise presence right next to her. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Okay. This stuff is real. Okay. Your soul guide is very real and has been there loving you unconditionally since your soul, your oversoul manifested into your heartbeat. That very first heartbeat in the womb, that was the wisdom of your soul manifesting into your human body. Leave everything else up to free will of your parents and you, okay? That soul guide is part of your soul family. It said, I want to be with her or him from the moment he or she is born, to help them guide them along their path. So please utilize this resource. Your soul guide just sitting there waiting, and they will keep you on your twin flame path as well. You want to talk about the best guidance you're ever going to receive. Try this out for the next week. Just say, I'm ready for whatever I'm ready for. Please send your guidance to me. Now, this is key in healing, in your spiritual gifts, in what's going on with your twin. Okay? Because you're unique. So there's generalities, everybody, about twins and so forth, but everybody has a unique free will. Everybody has a unique energy pattern that interacts very uniquely with their twins pattern. So okay, I digress, I guess, but I think it's really important. Okay, so back to this idea of promiscuity. Okay, obviously it's over applied to women, because for however long, however many millennium that this has been going on, that's really being freed up right now as we ascend into fourth density and move into service to others from service to self. Okay. We are, as divine feminine, waking up first, because we are clearing toxic masculinity that is affecting men and women. Men got raised to behave in certain ways and to believe things about women that they shouldn't be believing. So have women. Okay. So that's super important as well. Okay. So this idea of promiscuity, having too many partners, whatever that the case may be, if somebody has, I'm not saying everybody that has had multiple partners has been sexually abused or something like that. But what I am saying is there's a there can be a connection there sometimes, if it's just because that person did not learn that their body was sacred. And for that, it's time for us to take pause and truly, as twins, especially, my goodness, you're here as healers of some kind, okay? You're here to help the planet ascend. That's why your soul incarnated in this right now, okay? We have work to do. You need to learn those spiritual gifts and do the work. And so we've got to work through this idea of judging somebody in any way, shape, or form. That is subconscious. I always do this for subconscious, and I don't know why. But anyway, That is subconscious. And we need to just all, just if you can, take a breath with me. Release that. I just made that conscious for you here. This is conscious and this is subconscious, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, when the subconscious is made conscious, we can be aware of it. And then we can recognize a bias that we have, that we've been taught by really a cultural view of women and as property. Okay. So understand that legacy there, that women are property and must be chaste and must be virgins and must be all these things to be a proper wife and a variety, to be a husband's property. Okay. It's old stuff. And back from when, even before women were stoned, you know, stones thrown at them and things like that. So we really need to let that go and consider the fact that there's a double standard there for men often. And even if we're women in a relationship with a woman, it's still there. Okay? Because we're all receiving these messages all the time. And so we got to clear that out. Okay? And I'll work through a little bit of that as well. Um, I'm going to just do a general tarot reading. About this dynamic. I'd like to see what Gaiam would like to share. My soul guide is Gaiam, and they are the divine being, focusing source, source, creator, consciousness. Not, no, let me say that differently. They are focusing through our planet and upholding a balance, a plan related to the densities, the levels of conscious awareness that the creator flows through in every single density, first density to back to 24th density. Okay. Starting all the way from the soil and rocks, animals, humans, all the way up to higher consciousness. A planet's consciousness is at 23rd density, right before the source returns to itself. That divine being is Gaiam for our planet, and they are my soul guide. And the work that we're doing together is clearing the collective consciousness of old architecture in the subconscious of human beings that have to do with just exactly this topic. This that wounds us. It wounds us. Okay? As somebody that's been promiscuous, it wounds them because they feel ashamed of themselves once they begin to waken up and recognize what's going on. They were never taught sacred boundaries with their bodies. And we need to forgive ourselves for judging them. They don't need our forgiveness. Okay? It's very different. Okay. And if you've judged somebody, forgive yourself too. Just please forgive yourself. This is old junk that I am just here with my purpose, and Gaiam is here with me, helping me. I'm going to ask Gaiam. I saw a card peek out, and it was the Empress card. If you're familiar, lots of twin flames are. The Empress card is divine feminine here on Earth in terms of like the Earth earthly abundance of the feminine energy. Okay? Divine feminines are not human beings that are better than any other human being. So that's ego, okay? It's called divine feminine because there's a purpose there. Your purpose here, it's sacred. It's a purpose that your soul came and incarnated here to help rebalance the energies on the planet from way over masculine right now to balance in the boundaries of divine femininity. Okay, so the Empress balancing as feminines, balancing the concept of being in a receptive mode, receiving in a balanced way. That's the lesson of femininity right now. Not hinting around at what you want, not yelling and screaming and demanding what you want, but truly focusing inward and finding out whether or not you even wanted it to begin with, honestly, or why you want something from somebody else. What can you provide for yourself? And then I've told both of my children, you're the cake, they're the icing. Whoever they are, whoever it is, they're the icing on the cake. You've got your own cake. You don't need somebody else to be your cake. All right, so that's really important for and with masculine, then they can learn how to take balanced masculine action. Balanced action isn't selfish in service to self. All these things that really represent toxic masculinity. Okay. I'm going to just see what the little cards peek out here. Truly, for those of you that do understand tarot, you're going to want that Empress card before you get the Priestess card. Okay? If you're looking at yourself through these cards, the Priestess is in a higher level of conscious awareness in terms of psychic gifts and so forth. Okay? Those psychic gifts do not need to be practiced, honestly, until you have balanced uh, uh, your femininity. And it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. If you're a divine feminine, balancing the way you receive and understand yourself is key to the rest of that shadow work that you need to be doing well before you need to be exercising anything through your telepathy. Okay? Because you will be perceiving things and receiving things however you're going to be receiving those things. Okay? Gaia, is there anything you would like to share? Judgment. Yes, to me, this really, this to me is divine intervention. Now, I don't mean it like the way sometimes it sounds. Okay, what I mean is, please contact your soul guide. You can receive wisdom and the ability to listen to your intuition, which is the whisper of your soul. Okay, this tuning in to a soul guide, they are going to, when I mine initially truly was teaching me about how to trust my intuition. Okay, so some of you, if you've gotten, with the awakening process with twins, your energy lines up and your telepathic gifts start kicking in. And if you have not received any guidance about what you're supposed to do, what you're intended to do, you can really find yourself in a confused situation. Okay, and so um, your soul guide is going to help teach you what your gifts, how to utilize your gifts, how to listen to your own intuition. That's really important. Okay. I think I'm going to just have one more card flip out, and then I'm going to just kind of close off with a few things about this idea of the wound. The wound needs to be healed. No, we put band-aids on. That's how we're taught. Put a band-aid on there. You were little, and you were not made to feel like you were a priority. If you had parents or caregivers that said, "Not right now. A little bit later, I got to go to work," and you really needed something, reassurance. You just needed something as a little one that it just never seemed like it was the right time for you to come first. Okay? I want you to ask your soul guide to help you clear this out of your energy, out of your energy field, okay, out of your subconscious. Now that you're hearing this, if this sounds familiar to you, I want you to get a notebook out, and I want you to write the first time I remember feeling like I wasn't a priority was, and then just write, continue writing, okay? And you may cry, you may remember things you didn't remember before. That first time, that's going to be a jumping off point for you to start mapping out when you remember these things happening. Okay, that's bringing it to the conscious so you can see how, from there, once you've written until you're just absolutely bored, okay, you got nothing left, okay, and you feel peace. You may have already written how that affected the way you make sense of things now, but I can guarantee you, whatever's going on with your twin, it's clearing out. It's intended to clear this out. It's not intended to torment you. Okay? And quite honestly, if you really thought about it and put yourself in their place, you might even imagine that if they knew that you were tormented by, say, for example, past behavior with other people or intimacy with people, and they knew the level and degree that they were hurting you with that information, they'd feel terrible if they were awake to understand. Your twin may not be awake enough yet to get out of that coping mechanism for whatever reason. Some people just want to have sex with a lot of people. I don't really know. Because I don't want to make it sound like somebody has to be damaged to be free. However, what I would say is, if you're a twin or you're anybody, but I'm just going to keep it with the twin, and you know that stuff, that means somebody shared that with you. And why? If they're currently with somebody else and aren't stopping, this is the journaling stuff I'm talking about. The first time I remember coming in second place, because that is in your vibe and you're advertising it. Now, I doesn't mean you don't deserve to be somebody's priority. It's not about deservedness, but it feels like it, doesn't it? And if it does, it's worthiness. Okay, so you got to clear that out. Clear that out. The journaling is incredible for shadow work, shifting your vibration. I'm going to do one last card because this video is going on a little ways. It's important though. And I want to thank this person for the question. I really invite your questions. So I got a 4. Let me just see what I got here. Interesting. What I see here is almost like a dynamic. The dynamic I have here. So I have the Empress card again and the 4 of Pentacles, which is a really stable manifesting environment. So this is the work you do, feminines. Now, if you're masculine doing the work, this is the work feminine needs to do. So you can approach that person with balanced masculine action. Make sense? Gaia once told me a long time ago that the earth, the soil of the earth is feminine, and the flowers and trees and everything that grows out of the soil is balanced masculine action. Doesn't have to, it's the environment has been set up. It's balanced and abundant. Okay. And what we have here isn't balanced. And I think this is where a lot of feminines and masculines, if you're masculine here listening, hello. Uh, good. You know, you should put that in. This sounds so advertising, and I don't mean it this way. You should put that in the comments so that feminines can see that masculines do care. Because all the rhetoric out there is that they're just laying around, I don't know what. Okay. They do care. It's painful. This is painful for both. Yeah. So what we have here is a masculine. This, we got another 4 here. But this 4, this is interesting. Okay. The 4 of Cups, see the man? He's looking at the 3 of Cups, which is intended to be some sort of a celebration and going, where is it? Where's the celebration? And the divine is saying, hello, I'm over here. This is somebody that's ready, needs to engage in awakening. Okay? They can't awaken until this is going on with the feminine. So you need to understand how important this is. You're creating the soil or the environment for this counterpart to not be, maybe in some ways, benefiting from the energy you're providing and the way that you're focusing on them, wondering why they're doing what they're doing, or whatever you're doing, they have access to that energy. And if you're waiting to be a priority to this person, you won't be. I'm so sorry. They will not feel your absence, and not in some soap opera sort of a way. They will not feel your absence and get the spark of inspiration to make a different choice and look to the divine. They're not going to look to you for it, and you cannot look to them for it, okay? This is the balance you provide in knowing who you are. And I'll tell you one thing, why not know who you are anyway? This work isn't a sacrifice. This is ascension. This is ego death and ascension. That's the twin flame journey. Okay? So it's like divine masculine. Look, there's a hand with a cup. And this cup, I always view as the Ace of Cups. It is a desire of the heart you may not even know you have yet, that the divine sees. Let me tell you something, your soul guide sees it and knows what it is. And when you're in the receptive mode, it flows to you. Okay. Now, what we have over here also, so we've got him or her looking for the celebration, and it's not going to show up that way. Okay. And then also looking out at the expansiveness of the world. And the Two of Wands is kind of like a balanced vision. Gosh. Thank you, Gaia. This right here, that's what divine masculine needs to be. I would wish this for divine masculine and feminine. If you want to wish anything for your counterpart, wish for him or her to have balanced vision from the divine and step out of it. It's not your work. Do you know how exhausting it is to think that that's your work as divine feminine, to worry about his healing or her healing. No, no, no. You're a human being. Focus inward on your healing and your gifts. It's not all about like all this drudgery. Ask your soul guide to start working with you with your gifts so that you can help others. Start thinking about your gifts as an actual gift that's here to improve the situation for humanity right now. That's what you're that's what it's intended for. They're intended for, okay? So begin thinking of that. Do you know how beautiful that is to step into who you are by learning about something truly miraculous about you? It's beautiful, okay? So wish this for him or her. They don't see this yet. They could. When you pull back and stop trying to do the work they need to be doing through their own choice. That's the tough part, y'all. I know. It's like, seems like you would just want to do that because you may be the kinds of people that just dig right in there and get to it. That's because you woke up first. Okay? Not everybody's like that. And they need to have the grace to have that time without you there. And they will not ever do it unless you step back. I can just assure you of that. It's not possible in the energy dynamic. That I hope I'm saying it to you in a way that doesn't sound all campy. When I first was experiencing this stuff, there was all this language and it just drove me nuts. Surrender, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, what? I don't need to hear this right now. I need to hear like boots on the ground stuff. What am I supposed to be thinking here? Because this doesn't feel balanced to me, and I didn't realize why. And I didn't have a person offering me spiritual guidance outside of some sort of romantic love story. And it's beautiful. The love you will feel or do feel is like nothing else. Um, you can't make that everybody has free will. They may love you in some sort of a way. Pull back and give that unconditional love to yourself for a while. It's key. Okay, everybody. I think I'm going to wrap up there. All right. Please do send me questions if you have them. Uh, and I would love some comments too, just to see if you guys can help one another too with this. What, I'd like to see positive support among twins. And there's such beautiful support out there. I see it, and it's just so encouraging. So just it's good to reach out and just communicate, connect, so we don't feel so isolated on this journey. Um, have a wonderful day, everybody, and take care.